America's airports and have Muslims be scrutinized,
Yeah.
you better believe it. It's time.
There's no question there is a Muslim problem in the world.
The truth is that Muslims tend to be more violent than Christians.
Do you think it's time for the military to have special debriefings of Muslim Army civilian officers?
The other day, I listed case after case of Muslim soldiers with attitude, is what I've called them over the years, who've been able to infiltrate themselves and insinuate themselves in the armed forces despite all sorts of warning signs about their hatred for America.
Allah, who is Ar-Rahman, Allah, who is Al-Mannan. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah. Muhammad is the messenger, to Allah is our return. La ilaha illallah, Muhammadur Rasulullah.
A hatred for America. That is what our media would have you believe about all Muslims. If you live in America, then it is likely you have been conditioned to believe in and enforce the stereotypes about Muslims and Islam. You may believe that the Arab world is a violent place, characterized by terrorism. You may believe the violence that characterizes the Arab world is caused by the inherent character of the Arab society and Islam. Have you heard that all Arabs are Muslim, or that all Muslims are Arab? Do you believe that Islam is a violent, backward, and repressive religion? Perhaps you believe that Islam and Arab society have difficulty in responding to the demands and opportunities of the modern world. Do you feel uncomfortable or afraid when in the presence of Muslims? Are you afraid of Islam and its followers? It is time that you examine Islam no longer through the lens of the American media, but through a lens of truth.
There once was a man by the name Muhammad who set out to reiterate the old faith in the one God to the Arabs. The Arab people's new scripture that would teach them to build justice among the community became the Quran. The influence of the Quran touched many people with its beautiful Arab prose and poetry, inspiring hope at a level more profound than the cerebral, creating a whole new way of life. Eventually this philosophy evolved into what we know as Islam. A Muslim was a man or a woman who had made his submission of their entire being to Allah, and his demand that human beings behave to one another with justice, equity, and compassion. The Quran speaks of the unification of the human life, which meant that all the actions of the individuals and all the institutions of the state should express a fundamental submission to God. In this religion, prayer plays a very important role in their submission to Allah. Islam holds prostrations, which are ritual prayers, originally held 3 times a day. Today, Islam prays 5 times a day, facing Mecca. These were designed to counter the hard arrogance and self-sufficiency that was growing a space in Mecca at the beginning of Islam's birth. The 5 pillars of Islam constitute the foundation of the religion. The pillars symbolize the necessary duties of every Muslim. By obeying to the commandments of the 5 pillars, Muslims will become religiously pure and are ensured to enter heaven in the afterlife. The 5 pillars include belief, 5 daily prayers, fasting during the holy month of Ramadan, alms, and pilgrimage to the holy city of Mecca, Saudi Arabia.
The Islam concept of God is that He is loving, merciful, and compassionate. But Islam also teaches that He is just and swift in punishment nevertheless. Allah once said to Prophet Muhammad, "My mercy prevails over my wrath." Islam teaches a balance between fear and hope, protecting one from the complacency and despair. Islam is a complete way of life that governs all facets of life: moral, spiritual, social, political, economical, and intellectual. Muslim means anyone or anything that submits itself to the will of God. Islam means peace through the submission to God.
Allah is not the God of Muslims only. He is the God of all people in all creation. Just because people refer to God using different terms does not mean that they are different gods. Spanish people refer to God as Dios, and French people refer to God as Dieu. Yet they are all the same God. Interestingly, most Arab Jews and Arab Christians refer to God as Allah, and the word Allah in Arabic appears on the walls of many Arab churches.
It is perceived by many non-Muslims that all Muslims are Arabs, but this is completely false. Muslims are a heterogeneous group of people, meaning that it is composed of a society of diverse ethnicity. Though much prejudice has been generated towards Muslims in the past and present, many non-Muslims have developed an interest towards the religion and comprehend why Islam is not the way it may seem. With this awareness by non-Muslims, it is necessary that Muslims explain Islam the way it should be. As illogical as it may seem, many people tend to believe anything that is portrayed to them and use that misinterpretation to attack or hurt innocent people. It is time that people around the world take the time to study other religions and realize how similar we actually are. Outwardly, religions may seem significantly different through rituals and practices. However, the heart of every religion has the same message. It is essential that we discover that. Religion was intended to unite humans, but instead it has been used to segregate us. We cannot allow this discrimination to flow in our society any longer. Healing can begin if Muslims and non-Muslims become aware about these stereotypes and view each other as brothers, sisters, and friends.